Forever Begins by Jenny Sterling. Audio recorded by Jenny Sterling. This is a prequel to the FLYBOYS romance series. Greene! Jordan ignored the surrounding comments from his friends at breakfast and fed into their banter by pulling a stick of chapstick out of his uniform pocket. He liberally applied it with flair, turning the ribald and nasty comments into uncontrollable laughter. He didn't care that they called him a goober, a goofball, or a nah. They needed it, he thought, rising to his feet. Everyone needed something or someone to break the tension and the monotony of the day-to-day grind. Frankly, he was sick of the drills, the higher-ups snapping at him like he was no better than a dog. But if he moved quickly, jumped to attention like Riley preferred all of them to do, then some of the fuss wasn't quite so bad. "Coming, sire! I've been longing for your summons!" Jordan sang out cheerfully for the other pilot's sake in a mocking tone that set them to laughing once more in the mess hall. Life in Ghazni had settled down for a bit, allowing them to catch their breaths, mull over duty rosters, and figure out who went where in the flight lineup. You know, the inconsequential details that made each day passable when you longed to go home, back where you belonged, back with Melody. Jordan missed his wife's smiles, her soft looks, the way she would glance over her shoulder worriedly as she tried to cook something for them, and then burned it to a crisp. He certainly didn't marry her for her cooking skills. Oh, no, Melody could burn cereal. He wouldn't tell her that. It wasn't worth hurting her feelings. He never thought he'd see the day that he actually enjoyed a charred briquette or blackened food. But the moment he walked in the front door, saw her shining eyes admiring him with so much love, he'd eat that briquette and enjoy the heck out of it. Turning to walk backward out of the mess hall, Jordan blew a playful kiss to his wingman and best friend Firefly. Sure enough, the man grinned, lifted a fist, and pretended to catch it. They were goofy like that, inseparable, which was probably why they got along so well in the barracks. "I'm off to see the wizard," Jordan sang out in a falsetto voice, making the others around him laugh once more, as Houdini rolled his eyes. "He's off, all right," Reaper muttered with a flat, even expression that matched his call sign. No emotion. Cool, controlled, unshakable. When that man cracked a smile, it gave Jordan the willies. The part about the wizard is wrong, too, Hotcakes tossed, nodding at Caboose, and then bumping knuckles with Ace across the table playfully. "He's assigned to Riley's squadron," Scarecrow commented from the table, with a sardonic lift to his eyebrow. "This isn't Oz. There's too much sand and heat around here, but there are some brick roads." "I know, and that's one snake-bit varmint, if you ask me," Armadillo drawled with a half-smile to Hansy, who was chewing his bite and watching him. The man was always silent, always moping. "He's a real charmer." Jordan ignored them all, rushing out of the mess hall to follow Lieutenant Colonel, who was walking off like he was on a mission. The halls were crowded with people, some melting into rooms, some coming off of duty, some heading for the barracks, and some just looking for a bathroom or a chance to escape outside for a much-needed smoke break. "Coming, Daddy!" he whispered loudly, lifting his knees and practically racing down the hallway toward the officers' offices, half afraid Riley would hear him and cancel his precious leave. He just wanted to go back home to his wife for a little while, and was biding his time. They were saving up for when the baby came, holding on to their money for a house someday, and while being stationed here wasn't convenient, that hazardous duty pay helped their nest egg. Pausing for a second to catch his breath and straighten up his appearance, Jordan licked his thumb, smoothing it over both blonde eyebrows, and attempted to wipe the smile off his face. He enjoyed being happy, outgoing, and playful, but that wasn't exactly Air Force standards. They wanted by-the-book regulations, not a prankster searching for his next laugh. Greene! Sorry, sir. Jordan profusely apologized dramatically as he entered the room with a rush to show how much he was trying to comply. With Riley, he'd learned it was all about doing exactly what the man said. If you didn't cause trouble, you did what the man wanted, fell into line, and kept your nose down, then you were golden. He knew it. Valkyrie knew it. Heck, several of the pilots were aware of how this little game went. It was the other guys who were newer, had stronger personalities. Those were the ones that got blasted left and right, demoted, made to run laps in the heat, or simply lost their privileges. This was their life. Freedom, fun, their very livelihood were all based on the whim of this arrogant and egotistical man. Would he kiss this guy's butt to make sure his leave didn't get canceled? Heck yeah, especially since he was going to be a father in a few months. Jordan wanted time to hang out with sweet baby Greene and to rub some big old baby belly with lotion and chill out for a bit. His wife was his high school sweetheart turned bride. Melody was a trooper following him around until she couldn't anymore. Well, technically she could have come to Afghanistan, but there was no base housing set up yet, and he didn't want her in Ghazni by herself. Her bright red hair wouldn't fit in any more than his white blonde hair did, and the thought of her being in danger, well, that didn't sit so well with him. Greene, sit down. On my butt? Jordan asked before he could stop his smart mouth, and slapped a hand over it. Sorry, sir. Riley was chuckling at him, which did not bode well in the slightest. The man was never in a good mood, unless he was about to yank the carpet out from under someone, and then he was downright gleeful. Was he about to get in trouble? Crap! Yes, Greene, on your butt, in the chair, so we can have a serious conversation. Can you do that? Are you capable of being serious for 5 minutes? Here I am, serious as a heart attack. Or crosshairs. You choose, boss man, Jordan lobbed, and then flinched as Riley rubbed his hand across his face, looking frustrated. But sat down. He wasn't ordering him out or screaming, so that was a plus. No, in fact, Riley looked at him with consternation, both eyebrows pinched, his expression tired. This was not good in the slightest. Is everything all right, sir? Heaven help me, but I want you to take over the squadron. Jordan sat there for a moment and looked around wildly before pointing to himself. Are you talking to me? Riley said nothing and just stared at him. Jordan leaped up, knocking over his chair, and gawked at the man in horror. Lordy have mercy, I don't know nothing about ordering a bunch of babies, and then slapped his cheek dramatically, just like the character from Gone with the Wind. He even included Prissy's perfect shriek of horror before shying away. And nothing. Riley didn't move, didn't respond, didn't even react. This was a joke, right? It had to be. They both just stared at each other. Jordan praying he'd heard the man wrong, and Riley obviously having second thoughts about his poorly timed humorous attempt to lighten the mood. Riley had zero reaction. Silence hung for several breaths before his boss let out a single snort of humor, shook his head, and then sighed heavily again. Riley was serious. Unbelievable. What about Thumper? Jordan asked hoarsely, realizing just how badly this was going to go over with the team. Thumper had been their squadron leader since his arrival, a month after Jordan arrived on base. The man was a born leader, stoic, gentle. People could talk to him, and Thumper listened and cared. Heck, everyone respected Thumper. They liked him being in charge, including a few of the more mouthy guys. Ace, Caboose, and Inferno. Everyone liked Thumper being in charge, and Riley knew it. So why the change? What about him? Riley shot back in a flat voice. It's my team, my choice. I'm a mess, Jordan replied, knowing he was probably putting himself in the proverbial noose. I act up. I'm always kidding around. And I can't, sir. I can't be the squadron leader. I mean, look at me. I'm not leadership material. If it wasn't for genetics and a stroke of luck, I'd barely be a husband or father material. But hey, apparently God likes to joke around too, 'cause my kid'll be here before we know it. And I need my leave, sir. Please don't fire me. I need the insurance and the money. But this is a mistake. I'm a big, walking, talking mistake for our team, sir. This is not going to affect your leave. Whew. But I can't. I don't have it in me. Or, wait, I've got an idea. If you don't want Thumper, what about Reaper? Truthfully, I wouldn't give up my last sip of water if I were dying of dehydration for Reaper. And the feeling is mutual. It is? Jordan gaped, shocked at the vehemence from the man. Why? How come? Personal reasons. But this is business. And being in the military means you don't get to have personal reasons as one of your reasons, Jordan said dramatically with finger quotes, staring at his commanding officer in shock. Thumper is an excellent squadron leader, and after him, I'd recommend Reaper. Not me. Good gravy, no. We'd end up in France, or lost, or even... Did you think this was up for debate, Greene? Well, speaking frankly, sir, if we're talking about personal reasons, feelings, and painting each other's widow piggies, having a heartfelt chat, then yes. I'm not leadership material, and we both know that I loosely follow orders, casually speaking, sir. Casually speaking, I will not put Reaper in charge unless you're gone and Thumper folds like a house of cards. Heck, I'd put that nitwit Alpo in charge before I'd put Reaper in the big seat. You get me, Greene? I hate that man. I hate that look, that dead behind the eyes scowl. I hate everything about him, the very air he breathes. Riley strangled for a second, spittle flying as he extended an arm towards the door, pointing a finger. Maybe I pushed a button, Jordan thought silently, and tactfully realizing that now was not the time to speak such things aloud. Riley was still yelling, still screaming angrily, and had been obviously pushed too far by the simple suggestion of Reaper being in charge. That egotistical prick grates on my every nerve, and it'll be a cold day in hell before I make him squadron leader. You mark my words. I'm going to replace him the moment I find another pilot that can fog a mirror, period. I hate him. I hate everything he represents. I hate his smug face. I hate the way he reminds me of my ex-wife's boyfriend. And Jordan started doing a double take. Oh boy, I wasn't supposed to hear that. Riley ceased, staring at Jordan before coolly wiping his forehead with a handkerchief and straightening his uniform. He tersely uttered a flat no in the silence between them, ending the conversation. Button officially smashed. That doesn't leave this room, Riley instructed in a voice and pulled himself together. Of course not, sir, Jordan replied in the same tone, realizing that now wasn't the time for a playful comment about the milkman, the pool boy, or DNA tests. Yeah, he'd keep his mouth shut on that little nugget of information, filing it away for another time. Good. Then you'll be taking over tomorrow. I'll make the announcement at tomorrow's briefing. Sir? Jordan hesitated, feeling sick to his stomach, and had a chill race down his spine. Thumper is an exceedingly wonderful squadron leader, and we're lucky to have him. He listens, he supports you, never has a cross word to say. In fact, he brings the team together, and that's what we need. Our team is like a family, and family's everything. Jordan paused, his eyes beseeching as he struggled to find the words. Our team is one big happy family, and we need that bond, that team unit. Thumper built that between us, so destroying it would ruin what we have. I don't want to lose Thumper as our squadron leader, nor would I do as good of a job as he has done. Riley simply stared at him, his eyes flat and emotionless. Sir, out of respect, please. They're my family here in Ghazni. I don't want to break up the team, rearrange them, or have any hard feelings. Don't make me the bad guy. We've all got so much going for us. This is our home for now, he stressed softly, laying a hand on his chest. Until any of us get reassigned to a new base, this is our home. It means something to each of us. Please, please reconsider this, he begged openly. I will consider your request and will reconvene after the briefing tomorrow morning. But mark my words, Thumper is too soft on the team and I will be replacing him. And I'm not leadership material, Jordan admitted in a hushed voice. I wish I were, but it's just not in me. I love what I do. I love my team. I love flying the planes. But I don't want to be in charge when we're surrounded with better alternatives like Thumper, Alpo, or Reaper. He paused before wincing. Even if you don't like the man, he's an amazing person and calm under pressure, which is what you need in charge, sir. Duly noted, Greene. That was it. Jordan was being dismissed for now, and Riley looked at his watch. We're wheels up shortly, and I'd like to see you shine out there. Do you got me? Yes, sir. Jordan saluted and walked silently out of the office, staring at the faces in the crowded hallway with an uncertainty that didn't sit right with him. He wasn't leadership material. Truthfully, he was scared to death to let someone down. Melody would laugh, tell him how proud she was, and brush it off as a case of cold feet. But this didn't feel right. None of it did. This felt personal, vindictive. It felt like the world's worst betrayal, and he had to look these men that he loved, that he trusted, he respected and admired. He had to look them in their faces this afternoon when they flew their mission like nothing had happened. Riley was going to break up the team, their bonds, and destroy what Thumper had forged, with a fool like him in charge. And Jordan was devastated.